Hey everybody, check it out. What's up? It's Hercules Porsche's professional intro. Yay! Hey, what's up everybody? Hercules Porsche here, also known as Gildenlock on Xbox Live. And today, I want to get into a bit of a discussion about the new game mode that's being planned for the next piece of DLC in Star Wars Battlefront. In case you haven't run across the article yet, I'll try to read it off for you pretty quick here. The new mode for the expansion pack is called Battle Station. It's going to have 3 phases. So, in phase 1, we'll be flying X-Wings and A-Wings against TIE Fighters and TIE Interceptors in space. The main objective is going to be for the Rebels to destroy enough TIE Fighters until their Y-Wing support can come in to weaken the Star Destroyer's defenses. Once vulnerable, Rebel starfighters can attack the weak spots in an effort to bring the Star Destroyer down. In an effort to help defend this key asset for the Empire, players along with AI ships will be set up to help defend the Star Destroyer. So, the end of phase 1, it looks like a Star Destroyer is going to go boom, and then at phase 2 is going to take place. It's going to switch to an infantry mode inside a Death Star. So hopefully you guys all know the difference between a Star Destroyer and a Death Star. It'd be a little sad if you didn't. They mention that a droid is going to be extracted, so that makes me think this infantry phase is going to have a pretty strong resemblance to the extraction game mode that was introduced in the first expansion pack. And that is phase 2, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention that 2 new heroes are being added in the next expansion, and they're going to pop up in this little mini infantry phase, and the heroes are Bosk and Chewbacca. I'm going to have a little bit of a discussion about those 2 heroes after we've finished covering what is going to be in this new game mode. I'm very curious to see what the inside of the Death Star is going to look like, how much work they're going to put into making it look exactly like it was in the movies, or if they'll end up taking some liberties with it. You never know when they're designing a Star Wars map. Phase 3 is back in space, and that is taking place outside the Death Star. They are going to integrate the hero thing again a little bit. They're going to have a special Luke X-Wing, and they're going to have a special Darth Vader TIE Advanced. And the Rebels are going to be trying to make a trench run to actually blow up the Death Star. Actually, they don't say trench run. They just say blowing up the Death Star. I'm assuming it's a trench run. I hope that assumption's not premature, because blowing up the Death Star without a trench run would make me a little sad. Then again, that's actually an advanced piloting skill. That might be too much for some people. I don't know, but I'd be pretty disappointed if the blowing up the Death Star space battle didn't involve an actual trench run. But that's coming to us in September. My fingers are crossed for a trench run. Oh, I want that so bad. But yeah, so that's it. That seems very technically ambitious. So I really hope they're able to pull that phase by phase space infantry space thing off without having to, force us to do any kind of loading screens or anything like that. But yeah, first off, I got to make some time to talk about the heroes. I could probably spend quite a bit of time just talking about the hero and villain choices. First of all, we've got Chewbacca. I don't need to spend too long on this guy. You all know him. You all love him. He's the big, tall, furry guy. He's pretty front and center, recognizable for anyone with even casual Star Wars knowledge. You all know what Wookiees are too, I'm sure. And he's the thing that bears mentioning is, of course, his weapon of choice is the bowcaster, which we actually didn't see very much of during the original Star Wars films. We did see the bowcaster get a little bit of action in Star Wars 7, so we all know how powerful that thing is now. And we are all used to using it as a star card, so I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with Chewbacca's bowcaster now that that's going to be turning into a primary weapon. I can only assume. I'm interested to see how they handle that. But I think you guys know everything there is to know about Chewbacca. He's a very mainstream Star Wars character, and was not at all surprising that he's found his way into Star Wars Battlefront. The choice of Bosk as the villain they're going to add, I don't know about if surprising is the right word. Maybe it's a little bit contentious for me. But first, let's talk about who Bosk is, because he's not mainstream like Chewbacca. You might not know this name if you're a little bit lacking in Star Wars geek cred. I feel sorry for you if you are, but in Star Wars, the original films, there is a somewhat well-known to the Star Wars buffs lineup of bounty hunters that Darth Vader consults in The Empire Strikes Back. They make an appearance on the Death Star, and Darth Vader kind of talks at them. None of them really have a whole lot of dialogue in the original Star Wars films, which is why to the non-Star Wars geeks, they might be something of an unknown. But if you've taken up the expanded universe at all, or you've watched the Clone Wars cartoons, you might have a much better idea of who Bosk is. He's a lizard man. They are called Trandoshans, in case you're not familiar with that particular Star Wars species. And the Trandoshans in Star Wars FPS have a little bit of history, because they did actually make quite an appearance in one of the first ever Star Wars FPS, known as Star Wars Dark Forces. So if you have a long history playing Star Wars FPS, it might make a certain kind of sense that the Trandoshans are still around. But at the same time, if you're thinking about Star Wars characters, it does feel like picking Bosk for the Star Wars expansion. It does feel to me a little bit like a lost opportunity, only because they're taking Bosk over Grand Moff Tarkin. So Grand Moff Tarkin, that name was a little bit out there. He did in fact have some dialogue in the first Star Wars movie, but he's pretty much the only Imperial officer I've ever noticed who Darth Vader seems to have any genuine respect for. So in that, in that concept of him, it definitely does set him apart from a lot of other Star Wars characters. There aren't a lot of other Star Wars, characters in the Star Wars universe who, Darth Vader very obviously and genuinely seems to have any respect for. So to me, that always set him apart, and he was the commander of the first Death Star, so it would have made a lot of sense if he had been made into a hero. But of course, they had the bounty hunter Dengar in the last expansion, so they're continuing. And of course, Greedo, I guess, was a bounty hunter too in the expansion before that, so they're continuing that. I don't know if the right word is tradition, that trend of bounty hunters being the villains in all of these expansions. So it wasn't a huge surprise to see another bounty hunter, but at the same time, yeah, missed opportunity. And I know what you guys are thinking. You're saying, well, Tarkin died at the end of the first Star Wars movie, so... But I mean, we've made allowances for that. We have, all three villains died at the end of Return of the Jedi, and we saw them all showing up in the Battle of Jakku, even though they were all dead. So I figured, why not one more dead guy? But I don't know. Let me know your guys' opinions in the comments below. And until next time, everybody, I shall see you Starside.